Hey, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a look at the three new collections that have just been added to Strata as of the end of November 2022, which is the Animal Wild, Animal Domestic, and the Doors collection. So jumping right into it, let's take a look at Animal Wild to begin with. So here I have the main project file open. So there's quite a bit of material here, not only in terms of the variety of these animal assets, but also some of the material inside of the sub projects that actually is kind of building some of the variations of these sounds. So maybe we just go ahead with the seal project. All right. But one thing I'm going to point out here, if I take a look at the region marker manager, to actually get a sense of what types of takes are inside of all of these, they all sort of have a very similar format. So they all include different types of sort of emotional states of the creatures. So for example, we have the alerted. So if I'm listening to the seal, those are the first few that we just heard there. Then there's some attack variations. Death. Idling. All right. And then there's a pain variation. So each of these animals kind of follows the same structure. So if you're trying to combine the sound of multiple sources together, you can actually do quite a bit because you can always count on there being a pain variation for every single type. So if you're kind of concocting some sort of creature design, it's pretty easy to mix and match material from even inside of these sub-projects, which I kind of am able to demonstrate a little bit today. Kind of taking a listen to some more of these just to get an overall sense. Here's the monkey. Maybe we go with the death sounds here. Right. Let's hear the alerted gorilla sounds. Maybe some of the attack sounds are probably pretty good. All right. So, each one of these has these attack, death, idle, pain, and then alerted sort of sound variations going on here. So one thing I'll definitely say as far as some of these sub-projects, the number of tracks that are in here and the amount of source material is really caught me by surprise. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of interactivity in the effects chains. So I can kind of zoom in here as you can kind of see on the left side the effects chains. I had to turn some of these off just to get everything to play in sync without it stuttering because there's so much processing going on all of these tracks. There is a considerable amount of versatility if you're trying to automate things. It's really impressive actually how much is going on to have these layers interact together. So I have the effects chains turned off just so we can actually listen to the material. I tried on a couple different machines and I was just getting some stuttering when I was trying to play it back for you. So having a look here at the attack variation, human tongue stutter. Let's see, we can give a listen and see what that sounds like. Right, kind of interesting. So there's a hiss short group. A vulture growl. So some of these reptile sounds are actually some source material from birds. It's a grunt, hiss, airburst, caracal, hiss, snarl. That's a pretty cool sound right there, that layer. That's actually from some sort of cat. All right, so putting those all together gives us our attack variations. So again, there is some effects processing going on with a lot of these, but kind of can still get an overall idea about the construction of these layers. So it's definitely something you'll probably want to consider if you're saving and making your own versions of some of these sub-projects, is probably eliminating some of the tracks in here that aren't actually part of, whatever it is you're working on, so you can have a little bit of an easier time playing the project back. Back in the main project, we'll go ahead and open up the aquatic seal. Just go ahead and take a listen to some of the death sounds and take a look at the layers that are contained within that, since there's the most sort of going on. All right. Just going to add them one by one. That could be interesting. And there's the call. There's even a human burp kind of in there. Kind of interesting. Tube water gurgle. Interesting. So again, this is just a really good opportunity to point out how much great source material is in here for designing, a variety of different pieces of material. So maybe I take out like all these barking sounds. Maybe let's mute those. So there's just so much you can play around with and really create a version of this is all your own, so to speak. So having a look at the Animal Domestic collection. So this collection is really focusing on things like dog and horse sorts of sounds, as well as some of the Foley that is kind of associated with those animals. All right, so this Foley project has a lot of really interesting sort of horse sounds. I'm just going to go through some of them, which you can see over here on the side. Horse bridle. Strap on and off sounds. Dismounting. So just anything that has to do with, horse Foley. It seems like it's pretty well covered. There's a lot in here. And then there's also some voice tracks as well and some step tracks. So here's some of the horse steps on various materials. So dirt, grass, gravel, anything, any sort of material that you would kind of be on. All sorts of breath and groan noises. Our Voice Various project has some other sort of common domestic animals. There's cat noises. And what else? Some chickens. Pigs. So these are kind of some things that maybe these voice sort of tracks probably are in a way similar to what we found in the Animal Wild collection. So taking a look inside of the Step Horse project, there's an interesting thing going on here that I've noticed with this, the Animal Domestic collection in particular, is we have this details layer here, which is actually set up mostly with some processing chains with Enrage. So there's like some EQing, some saturation, and a couple different other things going on to where your layer one, your basic layer tracks actually have sends going to these that you can control. So for example, on this concrete track, let's take a listen to that. So maybe I want, to roll off some of the high end. Let's roll that all the way off, as opposed to boosting it, right? So you can kind of, you have to set up your own EQ for some of this. If you're trying to match to a particular part of a scene or something, you can, come in here and, do some EQing and dynamics control. It's already kind of pre-set up for you. Okay, so jumping into the door collection now. So here's the main project, and what you'll find is there's these three main tracks. So there's a main project track, and then a mechanics project, and then this miscellaneous project. So kind of what's going on in these, if it's not sort of obvious from the name of them. The main project is what's going to contain a lot of your very common types of doors, probably what you were thinking of when you're thinking of the door collection. A lot of that is what's in that main project. So there's, door open and closes of different door types. So here's some French door closes, French door opens, different performances of each of these types of doors. Close, open, and then quiet, and burst, right? So covering the range of performance there. store doors. Right, so there's quite a number of different types in here. So basement door, metal doors. What else? This is all still in the main project, by the way. Solid door. And the mechanics, this is things like locks and handles, knobs, just kind of components of doors themselves. So again, you have a lot here to play with. Metal inserts. And then if I go down to the miscellaneous project, that's going to be kind of a lot of things that may not necessarily be doors. They're kind of interesting types of doors that don't really fall into the other categories. There are some containers and things like fence gates and that sort of thing in here. So there's an electric garage door, open and close. Cabinets. What else? Container. That's kind of neat. Sliding patio doors, and then even some elevator sounds down here. Lately, I've been playing around with some AI animation software. And so I had this little design idea that I thought maybe I could try adding some sounds to. I added some things from the door collection. So I ended up adding the passenger elevator. So I made a custom version of that. What else do I have? I have a custom version of the store door opening and closing, the monitor lizard. So here, let's just have a listen to it, and then I'll go in and show you what I brought in from these collections. All right, so obviously I'm not finished with this yet, but figured it was kind of just a nice little example I could show using some of the material. So in here I played around with the elevator and just did a little bit of some creative design, putting on some sort of granular delays. So if I turn it off, you can hear there's the original. All right, so just kind of did some interesting texturization and used this Chrome Burner preset inside of Enrage, which is kind of cool. All right, so here's the custom version of the store door. I did a little bit more on this to actually mess with the timing. So I had like a layer that followed the timing of the door opening and closing really closely. So I did do some edits here to align that. So you'll notice how different that is. Okay. All right, so here's what it sounds like dry. So I kind of have some just lo-fi distortion going on here. Again, I'm using Enrage for all this. And a little bit of pitch shifting. So I have details layer, I have that sending out to my basic layer to kind of control the overall volume envelope of the door sliding open the motor. I'm using this bad connection preset that I sort of tweaked a little bit. Again, just kind of lends itself to the gritty vibe that I have going on here. But I can't say enough, how enjoyable it's been to use Enrage as kind of like a one-stop shop for all sorts of processing. Even the presets are excellent jumping off points. And then back in my main project, I'm using some pitch modulation. I'm using the Wise pitch shifter. I think I'm doing a little bit of filtering with Enrage. But that's what this main automation lane is here that I have going on. Just sort of following the opening and closing of the door. And that's controlling both of the source sub-projects for the store door and the passenger elevator. All right, so taking a look at the aquatic seal project, what I use from there. So I use these alerted variations, and I have the seal gargle and the seal bark short layers turned on. And here's what they are if I turn off the effects processing, just dry. and then turning these effects back on. So yeah, just it becomes quite easy to take something like these seal noises and turn them into, totally different creature like I have. Both of these are inside of a folder that I've done some pitch shifting with and some additional sort of, just kind of low level processing. So I'm not done kind of tweaking that, but that's kind of what I started working on, using some of the new sounds that are in these collections. So hopefully that's kind of just a little bit of inspiration, kind of give you an idea of how this material could be useful outside of just, the animals as they're presented. Hopefully that gave you a nice overview of some of the new things that are being added to the collections for the month of November 2022. There'll be more to come, obviously, so you can expect a lot of these kind of ongoing massive updates for the Strata collection. If you're enjoying the videos and the overviews of these, please make sure to like and subscribe so you'll be able to kind of continue and see the updates as they come.